Hi, everyone. Welcome to Faith Greater Than Fear. And we have another episode for you today, another international episode where we're going to a different and a different part of the world where someone is joining us. And so I want to introduce that guest to you now. This is Abi. I'd like Abi just to say a little bit about herself, mostly just her full name, if she would like to, and where you live. So Abi, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Nat. I'm Abi Flores. I'm from Piedras, Negras, Mexico. I live in the border, and I'm happy for be here with you.
Yes, we're really happy to have you too. So Piedras Negras is right across the border from a town called Eagle Pass, Texas. Maybe some of you have heard of that, but it's really great to have Abi working with us at our regional center there in Piedras. So, can you tell us a little bit, Abi, about how Piedras and how Mexico is doing with COVID-19 these days?
Well, I think we have several stages. Initially, we believe that is an isolate case only in China. Where it's very far away. I don't think this will be happen in my country. So in Mexico, everything passed well this time, and everything go like I don't think this will be happening here. So with the pass of time, and when we see like how USA start to have more cases, I think is when the Mexicans start to feel a little scared with all this situation because you see, if United States is close to us, especially the border, and when we see how many groceries start to lost, many stuff, in the border, many people start to buying a supplies in exaggerated way, and we feel like maybe this could be happening here. We need to find a way for supply everything, and many people start to buy many things, and many people start to like, oh, we need to find a way for trying to save us. Feel a little scared in this way. So this is the first step that I see in my country in the border too. But with the passage of time, many people feel like, I don't think this is very real. I don't think this is true. Maybe it's invention from the government. I don't think this will be happy because I don't see many people dying on the streets. I don't see like the hospitals. The people in the hospitals. I don't know anybody. So many people start to question how is like the possibility for this situation could be happening here. But also, too, many people, when we started quarantine, because Mexico started with a quarantine too, many places are closed. And many people say, like, what do you want to do with these situations? Because in Mexico, it's a little hard if you don't work. Because I know many people in other governments receive helps, but in Mexico it's a little different. If you don't work, you don't you don't have money for pay your bills, you don't have money for pay your food, and it's just more hard. So in Mexico, many old people need to work or need to continue to work. But with this situation, many old people can't do that. So it's very hard for them. It's very hard for many people. They did only survive day by day. So this is, I think, the beginning of this history. Now we have a different scenario, and because the quarantine finished, but we have many restrictions in the many places too, and also many people can't continue to work like the old mans or this kind of person, and they don't have security and for them. So it's very hard in some topics because, for example, me, when I'm and started the quarantine, I'm a teacher too, and they stopped to keep classes only for all the universities from all the schools, and I lost my job. So it's like, oh, okay, I need to find a way for trying to do my job, but in other way. So they give up different options, but whatever, you try to survive. Uh, especially because in Mexicans we like so much to share with others. You have a party or whatever, and you like to, oh yes, you can come to my home, whatever. But now it's like, oh, you can go with anybody. You need to stay alone in your home or whatever. And even if you are in your car, you need to use the cover, and it's a little weird and strange for many things that we don't never do it before. So this is like the itinerary in general in this moment.
Right. So that's what life is like. And of course, we also want to hear more about what you do for work, for ministry. You work with GNPI, so you can tell us what you do for GNPI, but also tell us what other positions you have, just like the ones you just mentioned. What do you do for work, and how has that changed because of the virus?
Well, in the ministry here on GPI, I'm working in the radio. I'm making all the designs appears on website, Facebook. I do the information capsules. Sometimes I'm rating and direct. I forget how to say this word. Directing short films, and everything that you can serve. I like to do for help. So I'm trying to do whatever whatever the ministry needs, and I'm trying to do in this well. In this pandemic, uh, you know, for us, well, for me, it's a little strange because work in your office is very common. You have the tools here. You know how to do your work in the office. But when the pandemic started, feels like, well, Abby, you don't have your office, you don't have all your tools, how you can do continue to work in your home. So I was thinking like, well, you have your camera and you can buy some lightings for trying to do some studio in your room, and I'm trying to do it this way. So one day when I'm sleeping, I have a dream, and I feel like in this dream, I dream about how God um, changed the trash and some things. I don't know, very weird, strange, very weird dream. But also, I was thinking like, well, maybe I can use this dream for making a video. So Abby, you know how editing, you know how to write, so you can do that because you are in home. You need to do something for the ministry, and you continue to work. So I'm start to, I have this idea, and I'm start to do these kind of videos with some question like, are you feel alone, or you feel like a trash? You feel like, or are you washing the ants? I want to say very simple things that you can see in your life, because with the passing time, I feel like many people may feel like anxious or stressed, or I think maybe people can feel like alone, because with all these situations, I think like, yes, many people feel like this way. Maybe I don't have work, and they have a bad ideas in your mind, or I'm lost everything. So I want to do some videos for these kind of persons, and maybe encourage, and maybe try to do some reflection for them, and yes, encourage the people with this. So I'm trying to do these kind of videos with very simple ideas, with a normal life in my home. And my easy scenario is like my home with this question in very simple time, like maybe 1 or 2 minutes, no more, because I say like maybe the people are in social media, they want to see something, because that many people want to be informed about all these things, and also they feel alone. So I'm trying to do something for them. And yes, this is part of my time that I do in this pandemic in my home.
Right. And so you mentioned, God, I guess, giving you some ideas during this time that you've used in your work. What else do you think God has taught you personally during this time? What kind of lessons has God taught you during this time at home in quarantine?
Well, I think that God taught me or give me always the find a way, because when all these situations start, I see like my dad is unhealthy. I lost my other work and also another work that I do, like photography. And I feel like sad in the first time because I said like, oh my gosh, what I can do with all this. And I feel like a little stressed and yes, anxious too. But I feel like God has the control always. And I'm trying to remember this in my mind. And I say, Abby, you don't need to lose the faith. You need to feel more faith, even in this situation. Because, yes, of course, even when I don't see like money or whatever, I feel like the hands of God is always in my heart. So if lessons that I learn in this situation, I see how God always is in control because all this time, like maybe 17 days, I think, I don't remember. I forget how many times I stay in my home. But it's always the food on the table. I always have the soup list for my family. And you see like how God always give us these things that maybe for many people don't feel like it's very big or whatever. But also I think it's always God for give us this opportunity for have the soup list that we have for my family. And so I learned that how God can have the control always. I know this, but when you have it in practice, it's different. And continue to believe how He has these things. I think this is great. So I learned this in all this time.
So God is always in control. God always
God is good all the time.
right. So also there's a lot of people watching these videos that you put out there or they're listening to your radio program. So do you hear much from them? Have you heard much about what they're learning through this process with you?
Well, in this time, I think we have more audience for my surprise because yes, many people are trying to find information on in the website and social media and all the parts. So I see how many people start to see our lives or videos or whatever, and they comment. Sometimes they send message, and sometimes they are only live. You see, like only watching. So for my surprise, in this time, we have more audience than other times because yeah, I mean many people there and many people say like, oh, I see you, oh yes, thank you for your words, oh thank you for encourage. So maybe it's not like a big message you see, but only when you know your program or your video or whatever makes feel better some person, I think this is great and I think this is God. Because for be honest, if only I have only one person and if I know this person is like encouraged with my message, I feel good because I say like it's the hands of God doing these things, using me or using my coworkers or whatever. And I feel like good with these things because I know it's God. So and this time I see these things in Facebook and social media and I say, well, it's God. And I trying to do with the same encourage, with the same smile in my face. I'm trying to don't lose this this right. Because sometimes, yeah, I told you it's a little hard sometimes because you have all these scenario and you try to look like, ah, yes, you can do that. And you need to believe this first.
Mm.
And I know only I'm trying to do and to do my best part in this time and my social media. Now we returned, but I think we do a great job even in the distance or even all these situations.
Okay, so you've given us already several great lessons, but if you could just use a few words, maybe even just one sentence or one phrase, what is the biggest encouragement you think you could give people at home today?
Well, I have a phrase now that I want to share is if I have the power of God, I will do different things. But if I have His wisdom, I will live them that they are, because He knows for what reason all this is happens. So I don't have His wisdom, and maybe in my mind I don't understand why all these situations happen us, but I know He's God. I know He has the control, and yes, He's more wisdom than me, and I believe in him, and my faith is in him.
That's definitely important. Just relying back on God, knowing that He has the wisdom, He understands all the answers, and He's making good out of all this. So,
Yes.
thank you for joining us today, Abi. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone at home, for listening as well. I'm Nathaniel Dunn with GNPI. This is Faith Greater Than Fear. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with some others who can also enjoy and learn from what Abi shared today. So we appreciate you all joining in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See you later.